Namatho Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening everyone. I hope that you're having a wonderful time. This is Saturday, the 27th of February 2021. Hi Margaret, hi everyone, good evening. So day by day it happened that 2 months already gone, and we have moved so much. Days are flying so fast. Days are just flying away. Now, just a week ago, we had a very low temperature, very cold and damp with lots of snow. And suddenly, look at that sky, blue sky, with such a wonderful sunshine. It was wonderful to have such a view. So, before it goes into the cold, enjoy. Sadly, I couldn't. Yesterday I was all indoor and teaching and practicing, and today again indoor. But however, in the evening I did have a little chance to go around just for a little walk. Hello Emma, time goes too fast. Yes, hello Yvonne, Margaret, good evening everyone. So time goes so fast. Meanwhile, I'm getting older and older. Look at my wrinkles all around. So having wrinkles all around. So getting old. And yet, I am not in the category of getting a vaccine. So that means I haven't arrived the 50s. Or Right, so it's been so far a few days. I've been talking about here and there, and I didn't concentrate. Thank you, Emma. So here and there, and talking about the Sila, about the Magha Puja yesterday, and I hope that you have understood. And if you don't, let me know. Yeah, let me know. You can ask questions. So that's why I thought today I am going back to the scripture, and we'll learning from the scripture. But again, there will be some questions to ask. Be ready. Right, so this is again a scripture from the Samyutta Nikaya, the discourses of connected discourses. And this is the sutta called Unheard Before. So the sutta is unheard before. So never heard it before. Yeah? And the sutta begins like this, at Savatthi. And here is Savatthi, the place where the Buddha stayed many years, and many discourses were given in this Savatthi. And the Buddha was somehow, without any stories, any conditions, he was simply talking. He was simply talking to the monks, teaching this 4 establishment of mindfulness. Now, may I ask you, what are those 4 establishment of mindfulness that we've been concentrating almost 2 months now? Yeah? I've been talking the 4 establishment mindfulness again and again, and some of you have remembered it already. So once again, what are those 4 establishment of mindfulness? And this is what happened when somebody is talking, and that's why the Buddha always told that if you are with somebody, talk about something related to the 4 establishment of mindfulness, or talk about the 4 noble truths, which is the suffering that is a problem of the cause of a problem, and the suffering can be end, and there is the path to end that suffering. But if you are staying with somebody and talking about household stories. That means talking gossips, complaining about gossips and third-party stories, then better stay silent. Okay? So what are the 4 establishments of mindfulness? So, and then the Buddha on that occasion spoke with the venerable monks and said, "This is the contemplation of the body in the body. Thus, because in Margaret, yes, body, feelings, mind and Dhamma, well done. I owe you a chocolate. I need to deliver you a chocolate for the prize." So here, this discourse, Buddha is saying, this is the contemplation of the body in the body. Thus, because in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, and true knowledge, and light. And this is also similarly spoken at the time of the when the Buddha gave the first discourse, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, which I spent whole 4 months explaining on that discourse. So here, Buddha, why he said that this practice is never heard before? And it is because before the time of the Buddha arises, there were techniques of a practice of there wasn't any technique of a practice to contemplate on these 4 establishments of mindfulness. And then, meanwhile, there were the philosophies of attainments and liberations called a moksha or a mokkha dhamma. And all the Brahmin texts, the Vedas, were talking about the enlightenment, talking about the liberations, but no scripture were talking direct to the path. And this path was unknown to them. So everybody knew at that time that there is a possibility to be becoming a Buddha, possibility of a liberation, but no one had known any path. So people were engaging in rich and rituals, hoping that by performing those rituals will be reborn and get the moksha, the liberation. And that's why there were fire worshippers and so many sacrificing, even human sacrificial ceremonies there too. And those ceremonies were simply hoping that after the performance they will be reborning or having a liberation. And that wasn't the right path to the liberation. But once the Buddha also studied those and then later on found out that these are not the path, these are not the path to lead the liberation, and that's how he gave up the 2 extremes. 2 extremes of a too much comfortable living life and too much harsh austerity, torturing the body, will not lead to the liberation. So all the perception that people had in those days, that after performing the rituals will be purified and will be liberated, was simply Buddha had a new vision arose. And that's called Chakkung Udapadi. It's called his Dhamma eye arose. It's like the curtain being lifted and you see behind the curtains clearly. The vision has arose. Right? Your eyes are wide open to see the clear sky and wide open to see the visions. And that is the first that he understood. And he said that after practicing this 4 establishment of a mindfulness, which was never heard, then suddenly the whole perception changed. and wide open to understand the world. And that this is the path rather than the rituals that we have to follow, and that leads to the liberation. And it opened up. It's like, suppose we never traveled to somewhere and we simply heard about it, we will have so many doubts and so many stuffs going on. But when you go virtually, when you go physically there, then you realize that is not as it was described in the books or what you have heard. There will be so many nitty-gritty things that make it flowerily beautiful. But then a reality may not be like that. But in order to see that reality, the perception that you have developed through the hearing or the reading, in order to take that perception away, you have to go and see and experience it. And with that, what happens? Suddenly your eyes will be wide open. And that is known as a chakkung udapadi. Another simile is given is that in the samsara, this birth and a death that we have been reborn again and again and again and again, throughout this time we are reborning again simply because we are closed. We haven't seen the lights. End of the tunnel, there is a light. We haven't seen that. So the moment when you have understood the reality, what happens? That you have seen this path and your eyes are wide open. So opening your eyes and open your heart rather than close to what you have already understood. And that's the first he attained after practicing that. And the second one was called Jnanang Udapadi. And Jnanang means the knowledge has arose. And the knowledge here basically means everything must change. Nothing remains the same. Things that are conditioned, aroused, are subject to change. Whether we like it or not, it is subject to change. And this is the Buddha had understood after practicing the 4 establishment of a mindfulness. And that's how he was saying that the knowledge arose in him. And then the third one, it says the wisdom arose, the panya udapadi. Udapadi means arose. Panya means the wisdom. Wisdom to see things as they truly are. Understanding as they truly are rather than understanding through our closed vision, closed perceptions, that we are conceptualizing things from what we have perceived, what we have experienced, but the reality as they are, pertaining to the nature as it is, rather than from our own perceptions. And that's called panya udapadi. And further in saying, the vijja, true knowledge has arose. True knowledge. And knowledge is the key. Knowledge opens our eyes. Knowledge opens the path, the gates to see things clearly. But when we have no knowledge, it's like everything is closed. Everything is simply very narrowed. That's why even there is a sayings when I was in a school saying that if you do not know how to read, all the letters are simply like a black buffalo. Doesn't make sense at all. It is true. If you never know how to write Thai language, and when I write in Thai, it's like just a zigzag something. Doesn't make any sense to you. Same with me nowadays. I see Tan Karl is writing in Sinhala sometimes, and I look at it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But once we have learned it, once we have seen it, then suddenly that opens. that opens the doors to see the true knowledge of what it is. So that's why all the signs and the symbols that we see nowadays are basically the signpost to see beyond it. It's like if you're coming up here, there will be a signpost coming to the center. The signpost is not the center, but that is leading to have a true knowledge. Yeah? And that is the true knowledge. And the light, the aloka, the light has arose. Everything becomes so clear. Everything becomes so clear and pure. So that's why the practice of a mindfulness meditation is so important, to gain this true knowledge beyond the reach and rituals and understanding it. And here when we say the contemplation in the body, one has to develop. They're saying that contemplation of the body in the body is to be developed. Now we have to understand, how do we develop contemplation? In 4 satipatthanas, or 4 establishment of a mindfulness, in the first part of a body contemplation, Buddha talked in 6 ways of a contemplation. Number 1, breathing. Okay, remember now, I'm going to ask later on 6 ways of practicing the the contemplation of the body in the body. 6 ways. Number 1 is breathing. Practice of a breathing meditation is one of the 6 practices. And here, what we are doing, we're simply paying attention to the breath, incoming, outgoing, aware of that. And then as you go aware of that incoming and outgoing breath, and gradually what happens is that your mind calms down. Your mind begins to connect with this incoming breath and outgoing breath, becomes one. And with that, gradually what happens is that you will begin to notice that these breaths are changing. Each breaths are different, not the same. And each breath becomes different. Short breath, long breath. So you will be observing that. And not only that, you will be able to see that whole body is experienced through incoming breath and outgoing breath. And not only that, you will be able to comprehend that as breathe in and breathe out, it calms the body as well. The whole creation or formation of the entire body is so much related to the incoming breath and outgoing breath. So that is the first practice we have to develop and understand. Number 1 is main postures, like when you are standing, you know that you're standing. When you are walking, you know that you're walking. When you are sitting, you know that you're sitting. And then when you are sleeping, lying down, you know that you are. So that is also body part. You're still aware of your body part. And not only that, minor postures. Moving hands, turning around, wearing the robes, wearing the clothes, washing the dish, going to the toilet, flushing away, drinking tea, and all these small minor activities also need to be mindful. And this is still in a part of the bodily contemplation. Further on, not only that, we have to see that this entire body made of so many different components. So many different components, starting from the hair of the head, hair of the body, and then the nails, and then the teeth, and then this flesh. This is outside the components that we can see. And further on, we can see all these components, which is regarded as 32 parts of the body. And these all we will be able to comprehend. I remember when I was studying, let's say now 15 years ago, over 15 years ago, when we were taught this first part of this contemplation, this the hair of the body, hair of the hair, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and the skin, and we have to recite it. So Kesa Loma Nakha Danta Tacho Danta Nakha Loma Kesa Nakha Kesa Loma Nakha Danta Tacho, like that. So first we memorize it, and the second we find the location of it, and then third, seeing that how repulsive these are, understanding that these are basically repulsiveness. The hair, when it is in our head, looks nice, but when it is fall into a food, whole food becomes disgusting. Similarly, any other foods, if you find it in any other foods, it's become a disgusting. But if, again, same time, if you are in a restaurant and you found a piece of hair in your food, you can sue to the restaurant and get more money as well. So that's why it's so disgusting. Similarly, the nails. Some people like to have a nails. There's beauty, and this is again seeing that this is a beauty. Yeah, and this is like knowing these are repulsive. And I remember when I was contemplating in that way, there was one moment I feel kind of a sickness. Everything is so repulsive. It's not belongs to me. It's all made up. And it's all so smelly. Like, I was even like this afternoon after the teaching completed about 5 o'clock. I feel like so smelly and all stinky. Like I was feeling like a stinky monk. So in a way, it's good. No one can come closer to me. Stinky monk. Ajahn is stinky. I don't want to be close like that. So I was feeling very stinky because I didn't have a shower yet. So like that. And I was having that feeling at that time. And then later I gave up. But I still, feel that. And gave up. And extremely concentrating and practicing in that way. So that is... so that was the practice. And that's the third, that's the fourth way of understanding the body. And then the fifth one is understanding that the entire body is made of the four elements. Made of 4 elements: the earth element, the water element, the wind element, and then the fire element. The earth element is what we see. It's a big massive molecule that I have, and I can move in my wish this mass molecule to one place to another place. Yeah? So this is a mass molecule, this piece of meat that I have. This is earth element. Understanding that this earth element is the key. And the second is an air element. Yeah? There's an air element going through in our body. That's why it's up and down is happening. As a breath is up and going on. And there is a water element. Yeah? So there's water element. We can see all the bloods, the sweatings, the snews. And these are air. The water element. It's a combination of it. And then the fire element. We have a heat. And then we have a cold. And ultimately, all 4, when it comes to combination of it, then it's become our body. So it's contemplating on that conditionality of our body, how it created. And on the basis of this element, I always reflect that when the temperature outside or the environment changes, why do we get sick? Why do we feel cold? Why do we feel hot by the outside temperature? That's because all outside things are also made of the 4 elements. Only different is some elements has got the one element bigger than others. Like we have the earth element bigger than any other elements. Like that. And that's as a result, it affects our body. It affects our life. And this is the knowing that our body also made out of the 4 elements. The last one is quite a strange one and very scary one, and that we have no control over this body, and this body decays over the period of a time. As long as we have the consciousness still working in this physical body, it will keep fresh and it will be changing it all the time. The moment when this body, the vijnana, the consciousness leaves, it gradually fades in a process until it merge into the earth. And this is the teachings that in the first section of the bodily contemplation Buddha was talking. And here the message is to understand the anatomy of entire body. Number one, part one is anatomy of our body, and that's the contemplation. And number two is that this whole body made out of 4 elements. And number three, it's impermanent. We shouldn't be attached to it. We shouldn't be holding on to it, that I shouldn't be getting old, I shouldn't be getting sickness, and I shouldn't be die. And this is the 3 messages that we have to contemplate and get insight from it. And that's the real practice. Unless we have seen it, it will be very difficult to give up that perception of my beautiful, this is me, this belongs to me. I shouldn't be getting old, I shouldn't be getting wrinkles. Ajahn Sujan shouldn't getting wrinkles in this age. Shouldn't be getting sickness and like that. So we will have so much attachment to it. So that's why practice of a bodily contemplation is to understand the entire body that we are in, how it works, how it functions, and how are we using it. And with that, we will be using this body very skillfully, rather than spoiling ourselves. And also understanding that this is made out of 4 elements, and there is any chance it will just merge into the earth. So all what we need is having a right understanding, changing our perception on it. And with this, what happens? We will have a new vision about ourselves. We will have a new understanding of ourselves. And we will be having a new knowledge, true knowledge about your own self, and then ability to have a great light, inner light inside us that will liberate us and will feel happy. And that was the reason why Buddha said that it was never heard before. And then after he practiced it, he realized it, and that's how he attained the liberation. So I end here for tonight's talk. It's time to say good night. And in the meantime, in a few moments, we will have evening chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night, and see you shortly. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. Sadhu. Thank you.